talk about healing in your Akashic records with past versions of you, younger versions, including your inner children, but maybe in your teens and your young adults. And so I just got out of a session with a client in an Akashic record reading, and some things have happened in her past where she had dealt with a lot of oppressive relationships, romantic relationships with different bosses, family members, and her younger versions were holding on to a lot of shame and guilt for the things that had happened to her. I asked her before we went into meditation to meet with that past version for us to kind of talk out what had happened. And so she led me through all her different experiences. And I said, okay, well, let's go in and actually speak with her. Because when I'm doing meditations with people, we're not speaking to a memory, we're actually time jumping and speaking to them in their current consciousness in that timeline, if that makes sense. Okay, like there are still a living, breathing consciousness. And basically she had felt so alone and unsupported in that time during her life. Sometimes you don't actually have to dig through a lot of trauma with these past versions. It's more so creating safety for them and getting them out of those energetic timestamps, those loops that we get caught in. Those are behavioral patterns and triggers. And so we went in today to just show her so much unconditional love and tell her, hey, you don't need to hold on to that shame and guilt, because the experiences that happened to you weren't your fault. Those are because you didn't grow up in a safe and secure environment as a child, and you were never taught how to process your emotions or how to speak up for yourself. She also lived in a very oppressive country and just oppression everywhere. And I said, that skewed your perceptions on relationships and how you interact with yourself and interact with the world. And as I was speaking to her, this younger version, she asked if she could bring forward a inner child version of her too. And that inner child had also dealt with a lot of the similar things. And I said, okay, well, just like you would tell that little small child those things weren't her faults, these things are not your fault either. And shame and guilt takes up so much of our energy. I said, what do you want instead? And she said, joy and magic and light. And I said, oh, great, we can do that today. But what we have to do is be willing to let go of all this turmoil and these narratives, these stories that we've kind of built around ourselves. And we helped her transmute through those things. And it was almost kind of a weird feeling to her, because sometimes we're really comfortable with our pain because it's all we've known for so long. It's integrated into us. And so when we release it, that can be almost kind of like a sad feeling, or even like a grieving process that you have to go through. That's why I said, well, let's put something in its place. What kind of vibrations and frequencies do you want? What kind of experiences? And then we asked the small inner child within her too. And it was very cute, the answers that she gave, but they just felt so liberated and free. And she was a little hesitant, the past version, about speaking with us today, because maybe she thought that we were going to come in and judge her or tell her that she was doing things wrong or not healing enough. And I said, we're here to just show you love. Okay, we're not actually even going to talk about the trauma. We don't have to do that. You've lived through it. You've been dealing with it through your whole entire lifehood. I said, today we're just coming in to let go of the things that we no longer need to hold on to. And sometimes you don't have to dig through the trauma. Sometimes it's just seeing things in a different perceptual lens, and you coming in as the higher self, the guardian, helping remove them from those energetic timestamps and showing them what love feels like, and safety and security, and that they're not alone, and that you're their family and you're always going to be there for them when they process through their emotions, when they release trauma, when they're feeling guilty for feeling how they feel. Like, it's fine, right? You come in as the higher self and you provide those safe spaces within you. And again, sometimes that doesn't mean that you have to dig through the trauma. Sometimes it's just holding space, because maybe you never had space held for you. So how you heal that is holding space for yourself. And I say that is sometimes as empaths and light workers, we're very self-aware beings and we're always working on our healing, but sometimes we feel like the healing is not enough, or we have to keep digging and digging and digging and digging. Sometimes there's things that you don't actually really need to dig at. Sometimes it's just meeting yourself with unconditional love. I'd love to hear in the comments if this helped you with your healing, or having a different perspective on how to work with yourself, and also how to release shame and guilt.